Good evening, and welcome to Bring It to the Table on a Friday night. And as I always say, get to the table with a glass of wine, apple juice, coffee, tea, milk, whatever your taste buds call for. We're going to have a good night tonight. We're going to have a subject, a topic that's very interesting that we're bringing to the table tonight. And as I always say, if you'd like to call in, our request line is 310-910-9676, extension 1. Again, 310-910-9676, extension 1. I pray that you've had a blessed week, and now that it's Friday, headed into the weekend, that you're going to enjoy family and friends. And most important, you're going to be masked up in whatever it is that you may do with family and friends, because we want everybody to stay healthy, stay safe, and have a good weekend. Now, tonight, it's interesting because we always talk about health. We talk about those that have dealt with breast cancer, amputation, prostate cancer. And we have talked about grief a little bit. But when we talked about grief, we talked about it with a young lady by the name of Angela Alexander. And we always look at and have the compassion from and about a woman, a mother, a child, a sister, and how they feel when they lose someone. And although they may have a brother or even have a husband, and it could be a family, it could be in the same household, but we have a tendency of always wrapping our arms around the mother, the aunt, the sister, and we ask the man how he feels, but we don't really get so deep into really how he feels. Well, tonight we're going to get deep. We're going to bring it to the table tonight because it's something that I like to know. How do a man feel when grief has hit him in the face? It could be with a wife, a son, a daughter. In any way, we want to know. And we don't want to always leave the man out, but we have a tendency to do that. And it's nothing that we do intentionally. It's just something that we never really give it any thought of how that man may feel, or how that husband may feel, or how that brother may feel once they've been hit with grief. Well, tonight we're going to start early because I really want to hear this coming from a man's standpoint of view. And I am so happy tonight that I have joining me DeWitt Brown, as known as Papa D. DeWitt Brown is in the studio here an hour before me. He's here from 6 to 7. He brings you that good gospel music. He brings it from all across the country. You may hear the Clark sisters. You're going to hear little James Cleveland. He's going to bring it. He's going to bring it to you. And tonight, I'm going to bring him to the table, and we're going to get deep because I really want to know, so that our listeners, let's really open up our hearts and our minds, women, when it hits us again, to really take some time and get deep and ask that man truly how he feels. And we know that they're normally, they put that macho thing on and they'll say, okay, I'm good, I'm all right. But deep down inside, they go in their room or wherever they have their crown and they cry. They do. They may not let us see it, but they do. But tonight, we're going to let him bring it to the table. What's happening, Papa D?
Hey, Sister Gigi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to
You know
be here.
what? This is really amazing because we know each other.
Yes.
And we fellowship together from time to time.
Absolutely.
And I had no idea that you were doing this gospel until I came.
Really?
And and I heard when I talked to Mr. Nash that DeWitt Brown was. I said, but I know him. Mm-hmm. And when I actually walked in and saw it was you, I said, hey, yeah,
In
It's-
good company.
in good company, in
Yes,
good
Lord,
company.
yes.
But before we talk about grief, let's have our listeners know really about you and where you came from and what you've done throughout your career. And we're going to take it from before you became into the gospel
Okay.
era into before that. So
Okay.
let's talk about it.
Okay.
Ladies, and I'm going to say gentlemen. I love it. We have DeWitt Brown with me tonight, and I am so thrilled about it. Come on, as they say, take it away, DeWitt.
Thank you so much, Sister Gigi. I'm a country boy.
Okay.
I was born in the heart of Mississippi, and I'm writing a book, by the way. I'll talk about that later. But I came from I'm from Mississippi to New Orleans, and I grew up, became a man in New Orleans, and went into the military. Went to Honolulu and stayed about 3.5 years, and came to Los Angeles. Never been here before.
Okay.
I had an uncle lived here, but a girl was here.
We will bring you out, won't we?
I'm telling it like it is.
Tell it like it is.
Yeah, so we got married, had 2 lovely daughters, and we got 3 grands.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and in 1966, my first foray into entertainment, if you will. Radio was my choice of entertainment. I felt like I could do a better service by just playing the music that would lift people, give them inspiration. So I started on what was later became KACE 103.9.
I'm familiar.
Remember that?
Yes.
And it was originally KTYM
I
FM.
remember that.
You
That's
remember
right.
that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's where I started in 1966, and that's when I learned the art of selling air.
Okay. Now, was it still right here on West Boulevard?
Yeah, right there on West Boulevard. I would go in at 6 in the morning until 10, and I had a little black cockapoodle that slept with me on the bed, on the foot of the bed. As soon as I hit the floor, there he goes. So he and I would go out to the studio. So I enjoyed that. I did that for 12 years. I worked on KGALH, which is owned by Stevie Wonder.
Right.
I worked on there before. I was the first DJ hired there, by the way. Yeah, and the original owner was John Lamar Hill, the owner of Angela's Funeral Home.
Yes.
You remember?
Okay, I remember.
So he got his initials engraved forever in KJLH, John Lamar Hill.
Wow, that's history.
That's history.
That's history.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm quite sure a lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people that work for Stevie probably don't know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
you
Absolutely.
history, yeah.
Absolutely. And I was honored and humbled by the fact that he called me. I'm an obscure jock over there on KTYM, and he calls me and says, "I want you to come and work for me," and I did. And until I left there in '78, Stevie bought the station in '79.
And guess what? I'm beginning to have a little history here, and not only that, I'm letting it come out for the first time right here on
Bring It to the Table. I love it, for sure. Well, listen, I tell you, I have a lot of history. I told you I'm writing a book, and my book is titled Escaping the Dogs of Mississippi.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a title.
Yes, Escaping the Dogs of Mississippi, and I'm not talking about the 4-legged kind. I'm talking about the 2-legged dog that sat on Floyd's neck until he died.
Wow.
Those are the people I'm focusing on.
Well, we're going to bring you back on that, too.
Okay, I'll come back and talk about that for
yes.
sure. So bring me now to gospel. Okay, now I became a minister in 1961. I was ordained a minister, and I was looking for something to enhance my ministry, and so I started playing gospel music. And I didn't do it on a national scale, but I did it on a local scale.
Okay.
And finally, I ran into Mr. Nash, and I heard his voice, and he sounded like a guy, you probably know him too. He's gone now. Reginald Utley.
Yes.
You remember
I
Reginald?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
Reginald and I worked on an obscure station up in Pasadena back in the day. And so anyway, I heard that voice, and it sounded so much like him. And I called this station, and I said, I want to speak to the person that's doing the announcement. He said, "You got him." And that was Kevin Nash. And from that, I told him my desires, what I wanted to do, and he said, "There's a need for that, and there's room for you here." And I've been doing it for 3 years.
Praise God.
Yeah,
Praise
3
God.
years. On 28th of September this year, I'll be 3 years.
So you've been doing this here for 3 years.
Here for 3 years.
What a blessing.
And it went so fast. I mean, sister, I used to hear my grandparents say, my grandparents raised me and two of my cousins. I used to hear them say, time really passing fast.
Yes.
But see, after a certain age, you realize.
You realize that I think I'm not way up there, but I'm up there, so I do understand.
You understand
I
it?
understand it. I
Yeah,
understand
for
it.
sure. And so here we are tonight, bringing it to the table. And when you asked me to come and be your guest, I was honored, I was humble, because that meant that you had something you saw in me.
Yes.
You know, and I would love to share it with your listeners.
And that was a couple, maybe last month,
Mm-hmm.
when, because I always come in a little early because I like listening to the music that you're playing, the gospel songs that you're playing, and that brings me down from the early during the day
Sure.
of the hustle and bustle. So now I walk into here and I got some gospel music going on,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so it
yeah.
kind of brings me down from driving through the traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, and I believe Angela was here at that time when we were talking about grief.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's when you reached out and you said something about grief.
Yes.
And I knew right then your inner feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt as though I had to bring you in here to let you come on and say, hey, this is how we feel. This is how we grieve as men.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, because we need to hear it.
Yeah.
Men have something to say. Men
Yeah.
have some compassion, that they have something to say deep down inside about what's going on.
Yeah.
When that hits them in the face.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've heard all your life, you know, parents aren't supposed to bless to bury their children.
Yeah.
That's a pain that you've never recognized. It's a pain that you can't do anything about. And I know that feeling so well. My oldest daughter passed 2008, February 25th, at the age of 48.
Has she been sick?
Never been sick. She had asthma when she was a kid, and the doctor, the coroner said that was what caused her death. She had an acute asthma attack, and it cut off the floor to her lungs, you know. And I had to do the eulogy. You're talking about,
Oh, I know that was tough.
oh, Lord. Nobody but God could see you through that. And he did see me through it. He woke me up, sister, like I guess 2 or 3 weeks before my daughter passed. And he took me to the 4th chapter of Romans. And Paul is talking about how Abraham believed against hope when there was no reason to believe God. Yeah, there was no reason. He had nothing visible, nothing even in his mind
Not at all.
to believe God. Because here he's 90 years old, and God said, you're going to have a child.
We're going to believe that?
Well, they don't believe that. And so I went there, and the thought came to me, a victim of hope. And I said, Lord, victim is a person that have suffered from the hand of somebody else, a victim. And I said, but Abraham, God said Abraham was a victim of hope simply because he didn't have anywhere else to go. He wasn't going anywhere. He was going to wait until God do what he said he's going to do. So whatever came his way, Sarah acting a fool, you know,
Right.
trying to help God out,
Yes.
all of that was her plot, you know. But God had a plan for Abraham.
Just like he had a plan for you.
Amen. Amen. And I thank God for that plan because, you know, I'm able to help somebody else. I prefaced my message for my daughter's funeral. I said, you know, the top 3 religious bodies, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I said, they all 3 recognize Abraham as the father of faith. Everybody just bowed. Yep, that's true. I said, but only one acknowledged that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. It got quiet in there. I wasn't picking at anybody. I was just telling the truth, you know. But that pain was so intense when I went in there. But when I started to speak, the pain left.
Let me ask you. No, was she in the hospital?
No, she died at home. At home. Her son was there.
Okay.
Her youngest son was there.
When you got the call, was it her son that called you?
Yes.
And just said, Papa,
Papa
come.
D, yeah, Papa D,
would
come.
come.
Yeah, because he explained to me that, you know, he had tried to revive her and didn't work.
How did you feel when you walked into that home and you see your daughter? And it doesn't, listeners, it doesn't matter how old, a baby, middle age, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you just lost your child.
Child. That's
I
right.
don't care how grown they are.
That's right.
It's a loss.
Yeah.
When you walked into that home and saw your daughter laying there, how did you feel? And we're going to take away, because I always like to separate so that we can get those that don't know the Lord and those that know the Lord.
Sure.
There's two difference. We handle it differently.
Absolutely.
I want to know, how did you handle that? First, being in the Lord, you knew the Lord, so it was it's probably a lot easier. But how would you had to handle that if you did not know the Lord?
Probably freaked out, because it's so. First of all, you kind of have a cushion when a loved one has been sick for a while.
Yes.
You kind of prepare. Nobody really invites death, no matter how bad they are, how sick they are.
Right.
We don't come and say, "Come take our loved one."
Right.
But there's some peace that you get. You know, when you're a child of God, and that's what I felt when I went in the room. I felt peace. I felt peace. Hurt, yes. Pain, yes. But I also felt peace. Now, did I weep? Yeah, I did. I wept in private. I heard you say it on the opening. You know, said men. It was like you were there. It said men go in their own room or their private place and weep, and that's what I did. I wept like a baby and out loud, and that relieved me somewhat. You know. Now you say, well, how do you feel now? Is the pain still there? Yes. The pain never goes away. The pain never. But you remember I think this is what I mentioned to you, and you said, I want you to talk about it. I said, grief is something that will take you out.
Very true.
Grief never stops. You mourn your loved one, whether it's a child or whatever member of the family. You mourn them for a season, but you let them go. You got to give it up. But grief will have you going to the graveyard talking to dirt. They're not there.
So many people still do that.
That's right. I know.
You know, my parents are gone, and I used to go to the graveside. But then I felt bad when I didn't go, only because I was listening to everybody else. Well, you didn't go you didn't go to the grave. You don't go to the grave and visit your mom or your dad. I was feeling really bad that I wasn't going. But then I stopped and said, wait a minute. I can talk to them anytime.
Yeah. She's
not
not there.
there.
No.
My dad's not there.
No.
But if I choose anytime, I can go.
Yeah, absolutely. Just out of respect.
Out of respect,
Yeah.
put some flowers on the grave.
Sure.
I can do that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't have to constantly go there all the time.
Let
And
me-
I don't have to feel beat up if I don't go
Absolutely.
all the time.
That guilt feeling.
That guilt feeling.
And usually guilt comes when you know you didn't do your thing as far as taking care of visiting, whatever the case may be. And we have a guilty complex about that. But then I think I shared with you, I had a friend of mine. She lost her only daughter at the age of 23. And that lady went into seclusion and never came out. She came out enough to go to the cemetery and talk to her daughter, like I told you. But she died recently because of the pain that she was feeling every day. Now, here's what God does to the believer. He gives us functional healing. Functional healing will let you go do what you have to do, but the pain's still there. You see, you don't never lose the pain, but you do what you have to do. I'm here talking to you tonight,
Yes.
but pain is still there.
Yes.
I miss my daughter on a daily basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And by missing her on a daily basis, tell me, who wrapped their arms around you during that time and was really concerned on a daily basis as we are when we wrap our arms around that mother? Okay? Now, the wife, the husband and wife is standing there. The husband is standing next to the wife. But we are going to go and wrap our arms around that mother
Yeah.
quicker
Then
than
you
we
will
would
a
a
man.
man.
Yeah.
How do you feel when that happens to you? And I know it happened to you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's just a nature of men, of human being. Woman has that nurturing spirit, and that's her child.
Right.
And it seems to us that the child is always closer to the mother. That's just an abstract feeling.
Yes.
You know, but it's not necessarily so. Like you said, the dad has feelings too. You know, he grieves and he mourns his loss. But it's the way you handle it that counts. You know, you just can't. You can't. You see, you asked me who put their arms around me. I can tell you who it was, and I'm speaking symbolically.
Okay.
God put his arms around me. I cried out to him, sister. When I was crying, I wasn't crying for my daughter per se. I was crying out for his help. I was crying out for relief. You know what I mean? And that's what came to me. Peace came to me because I was crying out for him. My daughter's gone. Yes, I miss her. Yes, I hurt. But who's here to help me? Who's going to take me to the next level? God is. That's our source. That's our strength.
For us believers.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's hard for a non-believer.
Well, yes, I'm sure. You know, you and
But eventually I think they may get to that point. Whether they get to that point as becoming believers or not, eventually they get to it. But not right in the very beginning. I think it's very hard and for them to get there.
I think it's hard for even some believers. Some believers.
And I think that's right.
Yeah,
Because they're wanting to know, why did God do this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But see, that's the thing. I asked a question in my Sunday school class a while back. I said, is it right to ask God a question or question God? That's a difference.
It's a difference.
Yeah. To ask God a question, you say, Lord, you told me to go, but what direction do I take? That's not doubt. You're just asking for clarification.
Right.
But when you say, Lord, why did you let this happen? You're questioning God. God, why you let this follow me? Why you take my daughter? Then people take that attitude. That's the wrong attitude.
They take it quickly.
Yes. They blame God.
They blame God. And even us as being believers, that's the first thing we'll say, well, why?
Yeah. Why her?
Why?
him? Yeah.
Why my daughter?
Yeah.
Why my son?
Yeah.
Why my child? Period.
Yeah.
Why? And some of them will go to, why me? Why? And they have to catch themselves. We as believers
Yes.
have
absolutely.
to question ourselves. Hey, wait a minute now. We can't question.
Yeah.
We can't question that.
Absolutely.
But we do go there in
Yeah.
the very beginning, even with our faith
Yeah.
being strong. We will say, why?
Well, you know, there's a song that Chris Christopherson wrote years ago, and he sang it. But a young lady by the name of Sarah Jordan Powell, you remember who that was? She was the one that sang the song, the blind man stood on the wayside.
Okay.
And
I heard it.
yeah, she sang that. She recorded at West Angeles. Long story short, the lyric says, "Why me, Lord? What have I done to deserve even one of the blessing you have given me?"
Yes.
Why? Not the question of why it happened to me, but why did you bless me? I'm not deserving it. I'm not worthy. For all the things you've done for me, and I've been messed up, and I go astray, and I cause your heart to ache. And why do you feel that you're going to bless me? What have I done to deserve your blessing? And that's the attitude we got to take as believers. Yeah, you don't take it for granted that you have health and strength. I don't take it for granted at 86 that I don't have any of the maladies that, quote, accompany old age.
Right.
I don't take that for granted.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We have to put our priorities in perspective, you know.
Now, how did your wife grieve with you? Or did she grieve with you, or did she grieve by yourself? And I ask that question because, again, we as women will go and grieve by ourselves and forget about that spouse to a degree. Now, they may grieve together for a short time, and believe me, it's only a short time, because then she's going to be on the phone with her girlfriend, or she's going to be on the phone with her sister, or she's going to be on the phone with someone else other than taking that time and say, okay, let my husband and I grieve this together. Let me help him, and we help each other. Did that happen? Did you and your wife grieve together? Did you all grieve separately?
Separately. Yeah, separately.
Now, how did you feel about that?
I was all right with it because, you know, each person deals with grief or the loss of a loved one in their own way. And when a person says, I know how you feel, no, you really don't, unless you experience it.
Right.
It's-
If you have never walked in those shoes of losing a child,
Yes,
no, you don't.
you don't.
See, I can't because I still have my child.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say I understand. You know, but now if something was to happen, I would know who to go to and
Yes.
say, help me go through this. How did you, how can I deal with this? But no, I can't say I know how to walk in your shoes because I haven't.
Now, her mother, she grieved openly at the funeral, and again, I was scheduled and it was incumbent upon me to do the eulogy, so I was focused on doing that. But she let it go, you know, at the funeral, and that's what most families do at some time or another. But she was, you know, that was her baby. That's what came out of her. My baby, you know. And I understood the pain. I felt the same pain, of course. You know, I didn't display it the same way she did, you know, in public. But I felt that pain when she said that. My baby, that's my baby too. That's our baby, you know.
But now, would you have love for the two of y'all? Although you, like you said, everybody grieves differently, but just having the comfort of being together, even if you're in the same house, she may be in another room, you may be in another room, but still, you can go in that room and put your arms around her, and you don't have to say a word.
Yeah.
She could come into the room,
Yeah.
put arms around you, and never say a word.
Absolutely.
But, and in doing that is because she's feeling and she's knowing and she's wanting to have that opportunity to say, I know he's hurting. And I want him to know I know he's hurting. See, because a lot of times we don't do that.
I know.
Again, and it's nothing that we mean to do, but it's just something we don't do. We may do it for let me rephrase it. We may do it for a minute, but then after that, that's it, because we're in our own self.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're
Yeah.
in our own self.
Sure.
But the man wants some of that attention
Yeah.
and some of that affection from
And that comfort.
that. Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm quite sure.
Yeah, no question about it. But you don't insist on it. You know, it has to be voluntary.
The man don't insist on.
No, the man doesn't. You know,
Why is that?
you know, it's hard to say why. But the man, again, it might be that macho thing again. You know, we have to admit that most men, you know, they feel it's bad for a man to cry. You know, it shows weakness. No, that's not true. That's not
Jesus
true
would.
at all. Huh?
Jesus would.
Oh yeah, and it keeps you humble, you know, and it cleans out a lot of that stuff in your mind too, because now you have a new perspective, you know. So no, I just believe that every person that has gone through what I've gone through, at some point in their lives, they look back and said, did I do the right thing? Did I do what I should have done? Did I take care of this? But not to the point where you are guilty. Oh, sure, we could all been more attentive to each other, you know, and that's another thing. We have a short time on this earth. Although, you know, we might live 100 years old, that's a short time compared to eternity. And so we have to look out for each other. We have to tell each other we love. I tell my living daughter now, she'll be 60 in November.
Praise God.
Yeah, I tell her all the time, I love you, girl, you know, and she loves me. And that's a good thing. Yeah, she's married, got her own family, you know, and we stay in touch, you know, because we lost so much. Together, we lost so much. That was her only sister, and she grieved more than her mom did. Yeah, my daughter did. Yeah, she grieved more than her mom. But now she's fine, and you know, we're trying to maintain relationship with the grandson. Okay. My daughter left two sons. When she passed, one was 13, the other one was 20. And so you know, she wanted her boys to have the best in life, and she looked after them. She had a great job. She was an executive secretary for one of the heads of Warner Brothers,
Okay.
and she was also a great singer. She was on the Color Purple soundtrack.
Praise God.
Yeah,
Okay.
praise God. And so those things, those are things that you remember good about the relationship
Right.
when you had your family, you had your daughter, you had your son.
Right.
Don't worry about, what is. Just think about what was. It is true and a fact that they're gone. They're not coming back.
Right.
But think on the good time. Think on the time when they would open their presents when they were kids, and they were so excited. Think about that. And that'll keep you moving forward. And you don't get in a rut. And you don't start feeling, that you let them down somewhere. And I think that's the worst thing that a person can feel, is that they let their loved one down. Because that guilt and the grief together, it'll take you on out of here.
It will.
It'll take you on out of here. You're supposed to mourn for your family members, for a period of time, and then you let it go. But most people, a lot of people, I should say, hold on to that thing, man. They want to bring them back. They wouldn't come back if they could. Most of them, especially those that know the Lord.
Right.
Yeah. And my daughter she was married to a Scientologist for 24 years. And he tried to get her to become a Scientologist those whole 24 years. And I do believe, Sister Gigi, that she got a divorce about a year before she died. And she had been married to this boy for 24 years. And he said, if you can't become a Scientologist, then we're going to separate. We're going to get a divorce. So he divorced her after 24 years.
Wow.
Well, now, she done invested a lifetime with him. 2 boys, got 2 sons by him. And she told me something that she went to Clearwater, Florida, to one of these meetings or seances or whatever they have. She said when she walked into that room, she said they were chanting, L. Ron Hubbard is Messiah. Jesus Christ does not exist. My daughter hit the ground running, never looked back. She ain't never came back to talk to him about that stuff. But she said that's what they were chanting when she went in that room. Now, you're not going to hear that from a Scientologist.
Right.
You're going to hear that from people that, that's been there and trying to get out. And that's one of the things that I believe helped, because pressure, will cause you to lose your life too, and she had a great workload. I understand that she was bringing some of her workload home at night, and then the divorce,
The two things.
all of that was part of her anxiety, and anxiety killed her, yeah.
Wow. I mean, even with that, and it's been a long time.
2008, yes.
2008.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
Yes.
And the grieving period. At times, what do you do when you think about her? And do you go into that solitude of, wow?
No, I don't. I think about her in terms of the life she lived. That's what I think about her. And I pass the cemetery where she is right there in Inglewood all the time. And I know she's not there, but I think about her. I think about her, and I think about the good times we had. And, I think about the fact that she loved her daddy and her dad loved her. That's the most important thing.
That is important.
Yeah.
If you had to talk to the men out there, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, excuse me, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to know, what would you tell them when they come upon losing and a child, just even their wives? But no, I know. Let me rephrase that. Not the wife, because you still have your wife.
Yes.
So let's say your children.
Children, yeah.
Let's talk about the children.
Okay.
How would you tell, or what would you suggest to that man that's getting ready to walk in those same shoes that you've been in when it comes to the grief?
I would tell them to lose the macho persona, okay? Because that's all it is, Deep down inside, you're human, just like the woman, And you have feelings, you have hurts, you have anxieties. So you have to let go of that macho thing and just be human for a minute. Be human for a minute. If you have to cry, cry. You know, wherever you are, you might have to grieve alone. Sometimes you might have to grieve with a person, which you mentioned earlier. That's good. But if not, just grieve by yourself. But at least let go of some of that. That tension will kill you too.
Yes, it will.
That pent up, thing that oh man, you got to let it go. Let it go. Let your child go because they're not coming back. Let your feelings go to the places where all humans go. Grief, mourning. You got to go there. But don't linger. Don't dread. Don't dwell on the fact, that they're gone all the time. If you do that, you're in constant turmoil because you're grieving something that you should have let go a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. You should have let it go. But if you hold on to it, it's gonna eat and just keep eating. And anything, your life and your health is going bad because you allowed that to happen. Yeah.
How would you, or what would you say to the women out there that may be listening, and even to me, when a man is grieving or have just lost a loved one, a child? How would you tell us to help you or to walk with you during that time? What would you suggest for us to do?
For the women.
Yeah. Because we need to know.
Yeah.
Because we and like I said, it's something that we don't intentionally do because we're so caught up. So I want to know, what would you suggest us to do?
I would suggest that you be more attentive to that part of the relationship. Okay, you're both hurting. You both are hurting because you lost a loved one. You lost a child. But I think you should walk into that room, throw your arm around that man, tell him, honey, we're going to be all right. He needs to hear that. We're going to be all right. We're in this thing together. And then prayer together. A family or a couple that prays together. Strong. That's powerful. That's powerful. And prayer is good for all things. Whatever we come against. Prayer is the answer. And so the Bible said 1 can chase 1,000 and 2 can put 10,000 to flight. That's powerful.
That is.
No other religion in the world has that authority to put 10,000 demons on the run, except Christianity.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
That is
And we need to use that because now, if I can chase 1,000 and I call Gigi in and she start praying with me, now we're gonna root out the devil completely. He's gone. See, because the devil don't like for you to be praying.
No, we don't.
No, he don't like you to
We don't
pray.
have to pray about nothing.
Nothing. And that's it. And he said, men ought to always pray
And not faith.
and not faint. And that's the key. If we can get together at a certain time of the day, of evening, and just say, we're going to pray. We're going to pray together. I mean, as husband and wife that just lost that child, let's pray. And that very rarely happens. But there is one reason, to do that, because it helps heal both of you at the same time. Now you both have joined together in your grief, in your sorrow, in your pain. And you're seeking God. Like I told you, I wasn't crying for my daughter. I was crying for God to give me some relief. Yeah. Yeah. So if you and my wife and we're crying together for relief, it's going to come. It might not come that right away, but it's coming. It's coming to the fact that you don't have to sit in that particular situation for the rest of your life and just grieve your life away.
I got something I was going to ask you, but I'm going to take a minute here because I want to send a shout out to a couple of people.
All right.
That I want to just let them know that I want to thank them so very much for sponsoring, sending in a donation. And I want to just send a shout out to Miss Gail Dietrich of Orange County, thank you so much for your donations, Gail. Also to Moon of Los Angeles, thank you, Moon. And Alice Turner, I want to thank you again for your donation. And I also want to thank you, Alice, because Alice has sent someone to my Facebook, not my Facebook, but to my website. And I've picked up a new client to be able to help. And that's what it's all about, is just sharing and to help someone that's going through a struggle. And I want to thank you so much, Alice, for doing that. And I'm looking forward to just giving Miss Margaret Weston a good helping hand for where she needs to be after losing her right leg to poor blood circulation. And matter of fact, she's 90 years old, but she is so spurky, so I want to just thank you, Alice, for recommending her to giving my foundation a call. And also I want to send a shout out to a young man that is responsible for the song that you hear every Friday, Her Mystical Journey. I just want to thank Lehman Scott. And if you want to know more about Lehman Scott, because he has a whole lot of good music and he writes and produces, I would like to send you to his website. Go to Let's Work Music, and I'm going to spell it for you because it's spelled a little bit different. It's LESWORMUSIK. Okay, and I'm sorry. Let me go back. It's LESWORDMUSIK. Let'sWorkMusicProduction.com. Check him out. He's awesome. And also, for you all that like to keep your cars looking good, I just want to say, hey, go ahead on over to detailing. If you want to get your car detailed, there's a young man that's doing an awesome job, and he's at Exclusive Touch, Auto Touch, I should say. And just check him out at eatdetailing.com, and that's EATDETM. I'm sorry, I'm kind of off tonight because I'm just so excited about you being here, and you're saying some things that really is hitting me to my heart, So excuse me, I'm going to go back again. Exclusive Auto Touch. Go to his website, and that's EATDETAILING.com. Check him out, and if you want to get that car shining, looking good, and you want to get that ceramic coating, check him out and tell him that you heard it on the YouTube channel, and you'll get $150 off. So that must be expensive for that.
That's detailing.
That's detailing, but it's this what they call ceramic coating that you want to put on your car. That's I understand that the ceramic coating is quite expensive, but he's giving $150 off.
Oh, that's
just
good.
Mentioned it. Yeah. So check him out, and also don't forget to check out Lehman Scott regarding the music. And one other thing I want to mention, if you're not doing anything tomorrow, I would like to see you guys come out to, it's a family affair, and it's a lot of different vendors that's going to be out there selling great things. And guess what? Jalen All-American M&T Foundation will be out there, and I have some special bracelets that have been designed and made by the one and only Miss Blinky Williams.
Our friend,
the girl that has a voice that's unbelievable, but she has so much talent, and she's very creative. So come on by and check our booth out, because we got some awesome jewelry, especially some awesome bracelets that she has handmade herself.
Wow.
So come on out and check us out tomorrow. We'll be there from 12 to 5. And the address is, where is it here? Let me see. Okay, here it is. The address is 2023 West Gage Avenue. Again, that's 2023 West Gage Avenue in LA, 90047. Come check us out, and they're going to have some great things there. So let me see you out there tomorrow, okay? Now let's get back to Mr. Papa D. My question regarding this is, there's been times that you have parents, they're separated,
yeah,
and they separated for whatever reason, or even divorced, and they don't have a good relationship. Okay, and this happens. They just lost their child. Again, they're separated,
Yes.
or either they're divorced, but they don't have a good relationship, but they just lost their child that they've had together. And the child may be 12, 15, 17, or however old, but they just lost that child. How would you say, and what would you say to them in that moment? Now, you're grieving because you both have lost your child, regardless to whether you're together or not. But mainly, you're not together. How would you, and what would you say to them when it comes to that and reaching out towards each other and that?
That's a good question. You know, some couples that have been divorced for a while, they have animosity between them, and if you have that, then you're gonna have to harness that somehow, because the child needs your attention. You know, you need to tend to to bearing your child properly. Now, believe it or not, my daughter's mom has remarried. She was there, and I was there with my wife. And so when I told you I felt her pain, the pain never went away. The pain was there from day one. But when she started to grieve openly, that kind of like opened up another womb, if you will, another wound in my spirit, in my heart, because I saw her hurting. Because we had a relationship since we've been divorced. See, that's one of the heart of the things that happen with families. If you have a tumultuous, you've seen them. They don't even want to be in the same room with their ex.
Yes.
That's crazy. That's ridiculous. And I saw that with my uncle, and I'm going to be brief on this one. I came here in 58, and my uncle said, "You want to go see your aunt?" They've been divorced for years. But I said, "Yeah, let's go." We go to the door. He knocks on ring the bell. She comes out, and she opened the door about that much. And she said, "Put what you got on the ground." And he dropped it on the ground and walked away. And I turned to him then. I was like 22 years old. I said, "Unc, if I ever get married," these are the words I'll never forget. I said, "If I ever get married and my wife and I don't make it," I said, "I'd never live like this. You guys laid down and had babies together." They had 3 children. I said, "Now you can't stay on the same planet?" I said, "That's ridiculous." And so I didn't have to work at it, at my relationship with my ex. Not at all. It just because we loved each other from childhood. You know what I mean? And the marriage just didn't work. You know what I mean? We didn't blame each other. We didn't blame another. It just didn't work. We drifted, and we departed. But we remained tight. Because, see, one thing, I don't care what anybody does, you can't change the fact that you married this woman. That's a fact.
Right.
You might say, "Well, I got a new wife now," but you married her and you got babies by her.
Right.
There's a certain amount of respect you're supposed to keep for her.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's the one you loved enough to go to bed with.
Right.
And you slept with them, and you had beautiful children. You had a good family. You had a good life together. Think about that. Don't harbor that, man. You got to be a weakling to carry on like that. My uncle, I stayed with him for about a year when I got here. He worked at the ammunition depot. he told me many nights, "I'm gonna drop a hand grenade on her." I said, "No, you're not. You get drunk, get drinking, get high." I said, "No, you're not gonna do that. You haven't done it all these years. Why are you gonna do it now?" But that's how he felt. It was so much animosity. And at a young age, way before I got married, I realized the fact that it happened, but it doesn't have to happen. You can still be a real gentleman and a woman that understand that the marriage didn't work, but we still love each other.
But you're grieving together now.
And we're grieving together now. We have to come together at a point in our lives where we have to face the fact, this is our baby laying there. Not my baby and yours, but it's our baby, It's our child.
And we, as the woman that has that attitude, the ugliness at times,
Yeah,
have to put that aside
absolutely.
and understand, or try to understand, that he's grieving,
Yeah.
and that he feels some kind of way. And I guess what I'm saying too is that we can't ignore it. We shouldn't ignore it. That he feels a certain way and he's grieving as well.
Yeah.
So therefore, it is just as important for me to understand and put that ugliness aside.
Absolutely.
So that we can grieve together. And it's no disrespect to the other husband or the other wife if either one of them has remarried. And that's a time, I think, and you can correct me, where all four should come together.
Absolutely. And that happened. And when my grandson called me, I took my present wife and we went together. And then I met her mom and her husband in the same room, and we all sitting there. And that was a scene that most people wouldn't understand. They really wouldn't, because they think there's got to be some kind of ill feeling, in a marriage that's gone. No, you don't have to do that. That's the reason.
You really don't. And you know what? I think that when a person walks into the room, that persona changes the tone and it changes the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Especially if you walk into it with a pleasant spirit.
Yes.
That animosity that you may have goes away. Because there is no ugliness in the room.
Absolutely. Yes. You've just...
And there's really no time for any ugliness in the room. But I hate to say it, but there usually is some ugliness.
Yeah, because it started when you divorced.
Right.
And it just kept...
And really, I think it's up to the woman to change that atmosphere when she walks in. Because we're the ones that have that attitude.
Yeah.
We have the attitude. We have the ugliness.
You don't think the men have it?
Well, the men might have it, but us women really get it.
Okay.
The men have it too, but we can change it.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
By the way we walk into the room.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when we walk into the room with a pleasant attitude and that persona and the body language,
yeah,
it changes that man's persona, his attitude.
Absolutely. That sparked the thought that I ran into this young man the other day. I drive for Uber and Lyft, and I picked up a young driver, Lyft driver, and he said to me, he said, "Mister," he said, "did you know that your riders can detect the atmosphere in your vehicle when they get in?" He said, "If it's a toxic spirit, they know it." He said, "If it's a pleasant spirit, they know that too." Yeah.
Yes.
He said, "When I got into your car, I felt at ease.
Yeah.
I felt at peace."
Yeah.
And I try to share that with people as I go along.
Yeah. Because there's times, we can have an attitude.
Yeah.
And we can say, oh, we're going to have this attitude when we walk in. But you know what? The Holy Spirit just comes through there and make it change so quickly till you can try to have it. It just won't work.
Won't work.
It just won't work.
Yep. That's right. You look ridiculous trying to make it
right.
happen.
And it won't work because everybody else in the room don't have that.
Absolutely.
Because they were talking and everything was quiet and they was just going through things and talking about things, and you walking in there, you're coming in there with this big bad attitude.
Yeah.
And guess what? That attitude, they make you check it at the door.
Absolutely.
So when you check it at the door, you have that man checking his at the door. So therefore, all four of you can get along, and you're there for one purpose.
That's right.
Because you're there for the purpose of we just lost our son or our daughter.
That's right.
And it's all about the pleasantness, and it's all about doing what is right. And it's all about us grieving as parents at one time that loved each other.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. If you can see that your attitude means a lot to just common courtesy, Yes. You can tell a person thank you, and they turn their head, or they're very, you don't understand why they like that,
No, you don't. And I think also when we come in with a better attitude,
Yeah.
we can help that man grieve.
Believe that. I believe that. And it's better with the two of you.
It's
of
better.
course. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
better.
Mhm.
And if you know that man,
Mhm.
you was married to him for however long,
Mhm.
you know him.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
therefore, you know how to say, I'm going to help him grieve.
Yeah.
He's going through it.
We're going
So
together.
you know what? I want to thank you for tonight.
Thank
It's
you.
been a blessing. And I hope our listeners out there, can take this and keep it close to your heart. So when it comes a time that you have to walk through it, or you know somebody that has walked through this, you can help them through it. And as I always say, on a Friday night when we're getting ready to leave here, peace, one love.
All right. Love it.